Hello, I'm Ed Parco, and this is Amy T-Meyer, and we are the hosts of... Well, hello there, Amy. How you doing this week? Did you have a good holiday?
I did. I went hiking with my husband. It was pretty good.
Yeah, we couldn't do that. It was too hot here. We're going to get 112 today.
Ah.
Yeah. You know, there's just all these people showing up.
There is.
So I'm banning them. All right, let's get moving on our show. All right, who's on the show today?
Well, I would like to introduce, let me bring him in, Sherman Williams, who is a friend of
Everybody,
ours.
it seems like.
Everybody.
Yes. Everybody.
I'm trying to give them the right link now that they come in.
Don't worry about it. I'll just keep kicking them out of the studio, and then you can pay for it later. You can buy them all a drink or dinner. One of those two.
Right. So what happened was...
he's got a lot of support. We'll just say that.
Yes. And we appreciate that so much about him.
Yeah.
So, Sherman, we always ask this one first starter question is, why did you pick the service that you chose? And so for those who don't know, you chose the Army. Hoorah.
Oh, my goodness.
So.
And it can be any reason. There's no wrong or right. We had one person, the reason they picked it was because they bought him a steak dinner.
No, I mean, in South Carolina, that was bread and butter. I mean, a lot of people wanted to aim high or do ships. First of all, I
don't know. You lost aim high. I have no idea what that
is. And then to me, I didn't really care about water or swimming because I did research, and unfortunately, darker skinned people and chlorine doesn't mix. And so I'm like, that's not a good cocktail. That's not.
David Goggins would disagree with you.
So, and then, there's just Army just seeing in my blood, and then looking at, you can go everywhere in the military or the armies based on your job. Like you had some stuff, cool stuff in the Air Force, Navy, Marines, but the Army's the one that can go like everywhere and be with the joint stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Plus, I was like ready to find myself. You know how people like, what is your real reasoning for going? And it's like, I really needed to find myself. It's like, I know I was destined for greatness and I was stuck. So I just needed to get out of my comfort zone. And I actually called the recruiter and got the hell out of Dodge.
Where'd you get stationed your first time?
Actually overseas. I went to Germany and stayed for 10 years. It was great. Because there was no color involved. I was just an American. It was awesome.
Nice.
What did you do while you were in?
I started off as a light wheel mechanic, and then I transitioned went to officer candidate school, so became a logistician. So an officer in the Army. So
what is that? So people who are watching and have no idea what that is, can you explain that?
Well, everyone knows what a mechanic is, but light wheel meaning like working on small engines, but it really translated to everything.
Okay.
So worked on tanks.
Even as an officer, as an officer, you just oversaw everybody working, right?
Well, no, I got dirty. Because that's where I came from. I led by example, and then in doing so, I was loved. A lot of times people didn't even realize I was an officer, and it was great because I'm one of you guys. If I'm not going to tell you to do something, I wouldn't do. So that's how I rolled.
Nice. What was your favorite thing about being in the military? Do you feel?
Oh, I would say being exposed to the different cultures, because in America we take so much for granted. Like everything. And in those different countries, they really they deep and support that particular country. Like being in Germany, they had, in Germany, they actually had all of the paid leave for women, for example, who were pregnant for I don't know, almost a year without having to go back to work and being taken care of. but they had that infrastructure to take care of those things and actually their civilization of those who are civilized and did it the right way. So it just, fascinated me on all the realms. And even going in Korea, they don't have Social Security. They have to save up from day one, knowing as a young child, as soon as I start making money, I need to save up to retire because that's all I have to live off. So it's nothing the government just taking your money and hopefully you make it to that age to start getting some money back. It's do or die. So it just changes your outlook.
Well, and I think a lot of other countries have multi-generational families in the same home for those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Where everybody's contributing. And so it's different. So some of the other countries have far less people experiencing homelessness because you just have, 2 or 3 generations in one home.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, my wife's Korean, so it goes deep. So they wouldn't send anybody to a home or anything else. They would take care of them all the way up to their last day. So, it just changes, what I've been exposed to and experienced. Like I said, my life has been changed. You can say I've seen the glory.
How long were you in?
Almost
long?
25 years, 24 years, about 9 months.
Your first 10 years were in Germany, and then you were where after that? I don't remember.
Did a couple of years in the States, then I went to Korea. So I'll say a total of 15 years overseas when you add Korea, Germany, and then I had a few overseas. It's deployments, excuse me. So, Iraq, Poland, Bosnia. So you can add another 3 years to that. So I'll say about 18 years overseas.
Wow. Anything you would look back on and want to change differently than what you did?
Yeah, I think so, but I probably say no because it would mess up of what I am now,
right?
As in the person I am and what I've been able to accomplish. Because even now to have this product that I created was through everything I went through. So I wouldn't want to change that because I wouldn't know where I would be or still have this concept.
All right. Since you brought it up, why did you need this product that you created?
I mean,
were you stationed in the desert and you had to deal with water? Is that how it all happened?
Well, I mean, we can't live without water, but what really changed my whole mindset of water is because, of course, so many people, as we live, we have to die. But in war, it's different because you're not prepared to see someone leave. But when you witness someone actually lose life from overhydration and dehydration, and I understand you need water and you need everything else, but getting an abundance of something, pushing it out, it just changed everything. And when I witnessed those, I guess, combinations, my whole outlook changed. And I said, I got to figure out what's going on. And even at the time, I wasn't it didn't hit me until an angel whispered water that helps in regards to a firefight I was in regards to thinking I was going to lose my life because my weapon actually jammed. And yes, we went through all of the training of repairing our jam weapons and things of that nature. But when you're under fire, it just changes everything. So honestly, it's wow, didn't have time to do everything because everything was just happening so fast. And it was just a blessing to live through that experience.
Because I just want you to know, we don't know your story. And most people watching this. So if you want to go in more in depth or not, it's your choice. It's your story. So.
Well, because it's I really wanted to make a movie, but
no. Well, you've got a short period to make a short film right now.
No, but when I was deployed, and we had constant convoys and things we had to go out the wire. So in that, you already know that there was a possibility you may not come back, because we had all of the briefs and everything else. And doing this particular convoy, we was going out. We did our herringbones, we do, because we had suspected IEDs, and there was a possibility of being a daisy chain bombs of IEDs, because how they did things, which would really scared me, because they were smart. They know that the heart of every convoy was in the middle, meaning the commanders and everything else. So they would have a decoy explosive device that would cause everyone to react. And I hate when we put everything out on how we do all our training and maneuvers, but that's neither here or there. But knowing what we did doing the herringbones, we saw other placement of possible debris, which could have been bombs, because they actually did very good with camouflaging or making out explosive device to be like the natural environment. But those were just decoys, thank God. And we started getting suppressive fire. We started returning fire. And I don't know, some of the other soldiers, they were just in disarray. They actually, because we was first combat soldiers, but we wasn't trained to be combat soldiers, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because we were just mechanics, cooks, everything else, because we were support. So in that, yes, we had the basic training to fight and everything, but not to that degree. So it was pretty ugly. And in returning fire, I don't know, I think it was just a grain of sand that just jammed my weapon. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, didn't have time to really try to react. I just had to keep my head down because things was happening so fast, thinking I would lose my life, because one of my best friends actually lost his life the day before in regards to not even supposed to be in a convoy, going to see his wife, who was in a different base. He wasn't even supposed to be in that convoy. He got, lost his life from an explosive device. And I was thinking, wow, it's going to happen again. And I don't think I want to live through this. So, you start saying your prayers and wishing for the best. But fortunately, we actually was in a Apache unit, and we had air cover. So those guys coming in, and they actually started to scatter. So the fire stopped and everything was okay. But, that experience just changed, because you didn't know if that was going to be your last moment on Earth. And then even that, you want to come back the same, because, limbs, it's things you take for granted until it really happens. So that's how I think today, not, feeling and witnessing, and then just saying, you know what, I'm going to appreciate life, and I'm going to do all I can to change life. So out of that, this water was born, and I said, I want to have something that helps. So even a slogan, healthy never tasted so good. But the first thing first is the question I ask is, how much is your health really worth? Because everyone wants to say, well, that's too expensive. Is this or that? So how much is your health really worth? So based on that answer, yeah, you can continue drinking the Sprites and the Cokes and things that clean your battery acid, terminals. But that's your choice.
Or your plumbing.
Oh, exactly. It does wonders.
Yeah. All right. So to water. So so you're over. So when did you start the whole concept of water? I know this came to you when that happened. When did you start making it or designing what you were going to do?
When I got back. So once I got back, sat down with Tennyson, good friend, and he thought I was crazy. He had a clothing line, and I said, I got this water I want to do. He said, man, okay, sounds crazy, but I got you. I'm gonna support you. And everybody else thought I was crazy too, because they like, man, we got water, and at that time, everyone drank water at the faucet. They didn't buy water. They didn't do all these things. And I said, no, this water is different. He said, how's it different? I said, I'm not sure yet. I have to figure that out. Because I didn't want it to just be flavored or like anything else. I wanted to have a purpose. So in that, I started just talking to different people and saying, if you had a water that was beneficial, what would you really want it to do for you? And I said, yes, I know it hydrates you, but what else? That's always, what else? Because just like food fills you up, but if it's not healthy, it's going to help you get fat. So that's the what if for the fast food, but what is for this healthy water? So people say, well, I want to be shape. I want something to help me with that. And, of course, the women say, well, I just want to look good. I want something that makes me just stay looking young forever. So that birthed my cosmetic beverage and my fitness beverage line. And then my dad had diabetes. But I said, well, I need something that he can consume and help as well. So it's diabetic and vegan friendly. So all of those attributes of what your body needs, Body Aqua provides that, because even now you would think you need electrolytes, correct?
Is that a question? Sorry.
Yeah, I tried it to be. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think they need electrolytes.
If you're working out.
No, but your body, think of it. When the Great Wall of China and the pyramids, everything else was built, they didn't pull out a Gatorade or Powerade. They didn't need electrolytes. It was there. So all of a sudden, out of
that was created in Florida in the first place. That's nowhere close to there.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I mean,
well, people were playing football. Come on,
people playing football. But regardless, your body naturally makes electrolytes. But we forget that. So Body Aqua gives you what you need, so your body can continue making these things naturally. Because if you stop the process, you throw it in balance off. So that's the importance of health. People don't realize, yes, you're getting it, but now you're not allowing your body to make more of it. It's just like a person that needs insulin. There's people that need it, but then everyone else makes it naturally. So electrolytes is actually doing the opposite.
All right.
If I put that in a perspective of understanding.
I was trying to understand how you came up with the water. I'm sure Amy has questions regarding your transition out of the service and stuff like that she always asks. So then we'll come back to this. Don't want to be an infomercial right away. So
not right away.
Not that they can't tell that you sell water. I don't know. Yeah.
just a little,
Product placement.
So, yeah,
it's very important.
So the next question that we always ask is, what do you use today that you learned in the military? So in the Army.
I would say really patience. I have a lot more patience now than I did years ago. I mean, because in the military, you call them civilians. So a lot of civilians, they don't understand the follow-up, the importance of, providing feedback. So in that, I've learned to be patient to a certain extent, but just get to the point of letting me know whether you want to help me or not help me. Don't dance around the question. It's just simple. And if you really don't want to help me, say that. Don't be scared and string me along. So I've had patience, but you can say I have deliberate patience.
Hey, I have a question about when you're transitioning, when you decided to get out, and did you all of a sudden just go, I'm done? Or were you like, I planned this for the last 2 years, or how did you plan that whole exiting out of the Army?
Actually, it wasn't planned at all. I actually tore my ACL and meniscus, and it really pissed me off because I was thinking, oh man, this is gonna messed me up, because as a captain at the time, I needed to have a command to go to that next level. I never commanded, but I had a spot that was opening up, and you can't be injured, and you know how ACLs and meniscus go. And of course, this Army doctor, and that's the one thing that I won't put them all in the same boat, but this particular Army doctor lied to me. So he said, nope, you're in great hands. I've been doing this for years. You'd be doing backflips before you know it. And then I wasn't. After that surgery, I realized a resident actually did the surgery. He didn't do anything, because I had to find out and do research, because I'm like, I've never been in so much pain in my life. I mean, if anybody ever seen Cujo, that crazy dog that was foaming at the mouth, that was me after surgery.
I don't think Amy's seen that movie. So
Well, I think I did a long, long time ago, but it was.
It's an old movie. It
is an old
came out in the
movie.
80s.
And it's about mistreating a dog, so it's not going to be one of my favorite because I'm a dog person. So, anyhow.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, but the dog went crazy. I'm just saying, and he wasn't mistreated. He was like
He was upset. He was tied up. He was upset.
Yeah.
He was tied up.
Yep. He was upset, and trust me, he got his revenge. So let's leave it at that. But I mean, I and then after that process, I still couldn't run or walk. It was just constant pain. So I actually had to go to my Senate majority here in Florida and write and get his help to actually convince the Army to get my surgery done again, because the Army was set on doing the surgery again because they messed it up. And I said, there's no in hell I'm gonna let you back on my knee when you said you was gonna do it right the first time. So how you gonna do it right the second time? You didn't do it the first time. That's just me. And I don't trust you because the doctor didn't even do what he said was to do. It was a resident. So went to the doctor here in Florida, Mayo, and they did an outstanding job. But they only could do so much because it took a year to get that second surgery done. So all the scarring and everything that happened, it just, you know what? I told him I knew I couldn't run anymore after that. I tried, but there's no way. So that's when I decided to hang it up. But that was the
what year was
chain
that?
of events that
what
took
year was
place.
what year was your surgery? The first one?
2015.
Okay, so because I know for a long time they would use cadaver tendons to fix that, and then that was where they had major problems, and then they started going to your thigh, taking it from your own thigh, and then they were having better luck with those. Right. I'm just talking in general.
You're right. They used the cadaver. That's what they did. But even
my oldest son had a cadaver first, and that broke, and they had to go back in and use his thigh. So. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the reason. I just know.
No. I'm just saying. But when
settle down, Cujo.
When the doctor from Mayo Clinic, he went back in and he said, "Wow, this probably is another problem because they only have fixed one of the problems. I had an ACL and meniscus. They only have fixed the meniscus.
Oh, they didn't fix your ACL.
They didn't fix my ACL the first time.
There's your problem. Yeah, they didn't. There's no cadaver on that one. They just didn't. They just didn't go in there and fix it. That's why you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was wondering why I was always in pain. So, and they did a bang up.
Oh, you got 70% or more disability when you got out?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did. I mean, but it's a multitude of things.
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I just hope they took care of you getting out. Is all.
No, you still have to fight. People, I know. It's a lot of politics. I mean, because for the knee, for example, they only gave me 10%, and that's and that was the reason I got out. And I'm like, wow, this kind of sucks. But they have to do the math. So like, if you want to get, for example, 100%, you actually have to tally up like over 300%. But people don't realize that you can't just add up to 100 and get 100%. It's just, the math is crazy.
Math is crazy. I agree with that. All
right. So basically when you got out, did you start the water thing right away or did you go into something else?
No, I was doing it. I actually was in Whole Foods prior to me getting out. I mean, I've been working on my water since 2009.
Wow.
I've been working on it. So I was deep in it, knowing what I wanted to do for years after that experience being deployed in Iraq. And that was my thing. I mean, I even had the post sergeant major pissed off at me because I wrapped my vehicle and was driving it to formation.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? You got to get there in your own vehicle. It was your own vehicle, right? It wasn't a Humvee that.
Exactly. So I'm not going to go crazy, but no.
No. This Army one needs a paint job. I can fix that.
That's funny. So when you got out, did you do any transition services, or because you already had the water going and you were just working through kind of next steps with your business, did you do any of the transition services that they had?
I mean, you go through the process, you have to get out. But I mean, I wasn't really into any of that because I already knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
of what I was going to do.
Did you utilize any of the services out there for veterans or for people to start businesses?
I tried, but I'll say a lot of those organizations are as good as the people. Like some of the organizations, like for example, and which I don't understand, wants to give you advice about businesses, but they failed in business themselves. And I'm like, how can you give valid advice when I hate to say it, but you're a failure. So how are you going to tell me to win and be successful when you failed? And then it's like I guess these certain blocks of they tell people to do the same steps. And I guess to me, that's insanity. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. For me, I've always been on the cuff, unorthodox, aggressive, and being able to, I'll say being blessed to certain things because I was able to get in Whole Foods. And unfortunately, everyone doesn't favor veterans. They just, when they say they want to support veterans, I think it depends on what the veteran looks like sometimes. So regardless of what transpired, was in Whole Foods, was doing great, kick butt, and everything was good up to the point they wanted to meet me because I sounded great, my name was great, but when they met the person, they had a different, body language says a lot. So my partner at the time said, well, I think that door's gonna close soon. I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, you'll see. And she was right. And but once Whole Foods closed, Walmart opened their doors, but it was just terrible timing. Went there during the peak of COVID. I was spread out, and I, they can help you and hurt you at the same time. But I had name recognition. So, but that name recognition helped me to really open up some doors. And the personnel at Winn-Dixie, they really support veterans because they made room for me. And I'll hang my hat on that. And they gave me over 80 locations here in the state of Florida and Georgia. They wanted to give me more, but it depends on who was the buyer at the time. So that transition, and I mean, she's been an angel and loved the product, the brand, the story. Me, for a change, getting a little love, and it just changed everything. And it really touches home because at the end of the day, I just want to be seen as a veteran and an American that wants to make a difference. I hate these stipulations that everyone likes to put on so many things, and it just gets old after a while. Are
you in any of the PXs?
Nope. I am not. Politics.
Really?
Politics, Even when they say, well, and it's ironic because think of it, you sell to all veterans and service members, but you don't have anything by a service member or a veteran on any of the shelves. It's crazy.
It's very political. I know that because I used to manage credit unions on post. And so all the rules and regulations and even the people with APs and stuff like that, is hard to understand how to get to do anything or how people got through different systems. So that doesn't surprise me.
Well, see, but early on in the 90s, I sold through all the Navy exchanges and everything through different things, and it wasn't so difficult. And that company was not owned by white people. So I'm just saying it. I think it depends on what I'm getting at is it was different. It's just I think it's finding the right person to get behind what you have and do that. And I was lucky; they came to me wanting the certain, at the time there were certain things they didn't have in any of the PXs, and the guy wanted it because they had a huge demand for it. So they actually came to us to get it in. I think we just have to get you, because that would be the perfect place for what you want to do, because it's from a veteran for for people, and it would be good. So I'm gonna make
what's crazy. So there's an obesity problem in the military, correct?
No way. I think there is in America too. I'm not sure.
It is in America, but it's really in our armed services, hitting front center. So I guess for everything else, you can sell Coke, Pepsi, juices, whatever. But when it comes to the functional beverage category, you only can have so many B vitamins, so many C vitamins. And it's like, how is my product good enough to be in an Earth Fare or Whole Foods with their stringent guidelines, but not good enough to be sold to our soldiers. This is, to me, it was crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going to fight it, because I'm like, why are we having issues with getting people or soldiers to stay in the military and get them in the military? And is it not because of the stuff they're already taking? So why we keep looking at it differently, like it's going to change things?
I don't know. When you figure it out, let me know. And you're right. There's a lot of political stuff in everything. I mean, girls' soccer is horrible. So let me just explain. My girls are in soccer. I'm just making it a thing. It's ridiculous in what they do and other things. And so we just need to, keep going, get to the right people, and, we'll get you there.
So where does somebody order your water if they're not in Florida?
They have to go to drinkbodyaqua.com, and they'll get it within 2 to 3 days. We're using the most, I guess, affordable rate, because we used FedEx before, but it changes based on the state you go to. Like, for example, they used to charge us like $55 to ship 12 bottles to California, And I'm like, and it changed. So you do the math going backwards. And we tried to keep it at a point that is strict across the board. So the only one would be the United States Postal Service that would provide that service for us, because the others are, you can say they're robbing you blind,
Interesting.
I want to go back to your Winn-Dixie. I didn't even know what they were until my son was in the Army, and we had to go to his, jump school and all that stuff. And then it was like, Winn-Dixie, what the heck is this? But I'm serious. So, but because I'm from West Coast, in Colorado. That's as far as.
Oh, yeah.
So I have.
But we're getting looked at. Right now, looked at by ShopRite, Albertsons, Publix, Costco, and possibly Sam's, but they were talking about a pop-up, but we don't know how that really is going to work. So We're trying to figure that out, because a lot of times, being a startup, you don't have a lot of the money to do a lot of these things. You need them to pay for the product to help you to fund the marketing campaigns and things of that nature. So
that was my next question. How much bigger do you need to be able to service more stores? Because it sounds to me like you're, with the product you have and what the availability of supplies and everything, that, because you said you're in Winn-Dixie and that's the most you can do right now. At what point, does that get bigger?
Well, we can do it all right now. It's just getting accepted, because everyone has this window of looking at products, and unfortunately, everyone has biases. So these biases are their preferences of what they deem acceptable for their shoppers. It's crazy, because the buyers are almost like miniature gods for that retail. Mm-hmm. So the god of Publix, the god of Costco, because they kind of feel and dictate what they allow the shoppers to be exposed to. And is that they're whelmed, and mind you, if they have any kind of allergies. And there's been, I think a few years ago, how can you be a functional beverage buyer, but you can't test none of the product? How do you even have that job? Because they said, oh, I can't drink none of this. I'm like, well, what can you drink? She said, oh, I have to drink water. I'm allergic to a lot of these things in here. I'm like, well, how do you have this job? So how can you really, what I'm saying? So that kind of like puts you out.
I think that's under the Disabled Act that you can't. Look at you. You already trying to get people fired who have disabilities. Look at that.
No, it's not. It's not.
I'm just kidding. I get it. I get it. Like, yeah, it's the same. It's clothing line. It's every buyer for everything. They're out there. They're only as good as their last bought, and that's their issue. Is if they buy bad, they get in. It goes against them. So I get it, but I still think you should be in the Navy exchanges. The actual commissaries.
I agree too. I would love to be in the commissaries.
If anybody out there is watching this and you're connected to the commissaries, whether it's the Navy, Air Force. I'm sorry, it took me a while there. Yeah. Air Force and Army joint bases. I didn't realize how many joint bases, the Navy and the Marine Corps have a lot. So, I understand all that. So I'm just saying, if you guys know somebody out there help Mr. Sherman out.
Yes. And I will say I did buy a case of his water about
Only a
6 months
case?
ago. Only one case. And it might have been because of the shipping or whatever it was, and I didn't have it locally to go and get. But my kids ran through it super fast. I was telling Sherman, like the case came and it was like half of it was gone in a day and a half. And I had to go and grab like 3 bottles and isolate them so that I had a chance to drink them. And it was gone. And everybody loved it. So, and I think it was the fruity ones that we had. But so it has always been my intention to buy more. But I think it would be really great if I could go to the PX out at JBLM and buy them there.
Especially since especially since veterans can go on and buy from the PX. So
well, I can also military spouse.
I know, but other people can still go there and do it too. So now all of us are still military spouses.
I mean, but think of it as it's the only functional beverage that's diabetic, vegan friendly, and it tastes super amazing. You wouldn't even think it's healthy, but it's really healthy. It's the healthiest thing you can put in your body because I won't say everyone, but most people have been duped in regards to thinking, oh, you need more electrolytes, or you need more of this because sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and that's what they're doing. Thinking you need this stuff.
And especially high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like you're feeding the bad stuff and you trying to get good results, but it's just so hard when you present something that's actually healthy when they're saying they want healthy.
I just think people don't really want to be helped. They like to complain.
Yeah, a lot.
Especially Amy. She loves to complain.
He's a little more cynical than I feel like some people really want to be helped, but
some people do, but it takes them forever to get there. And what they need is a health scare to get there for most people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, you're right. It's just like no one gets, unfortunately, I hate for anybody to go through cancer, for example, but until you experience it someone close by, you're not giving a hoot about it. Now you're an advocate, you're out there, you got an organization, nonprofit, and it goes on because you realize how bad this is. But why wait to that extreme? And it goes with lupus, obesity, lung cancer. I mean, it goes on. But in regards to what I'm really trying to do, when you say helping the brave, it just seemed like they're selective brave. And we're all under this one umbrella because freedom isn't selective. You got people that shouldn't be in this country, but they're still free. So why aren't we on a level in regards to being supported versus by verbal word of mouth versus in action? Because they fund certain organizations, but they still fall short.
And by the way, we are helping all the brave here. I just want to make sure you know that. Because you did use helping the brave, didn't help everybody. I want to make sure that someone doesn't grab that little sound bite. And next thing you know, helping the brave doesn't help everybody.
Oh, you guys are awesome. And I mean, just listening to you guys, and even if you do a background, it starts from what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
And so what I put everything into this, and mind you, I didn't have any help. I did title loans. No one believed in me and in my product, my vision, and you just got to persevere through. And that's some of the stuff that without the military, I wouldn't have done, because those values, integrity, failure not being an option, it wasn't, because I'm like, no, my product will be known as the healthiest drink on the planet, period. They're gonna have all the other stuff, but I want that title. That's going to be my title. And I'm going to replace juice for kids because I have a kids drink. I don't want any kids drinking juice because they have lead in it. And the FDA said we're going to try to lower the levels of lead. Not eliminate it, just lower the levels. And you already know how toxic that is. Mm-hmm. So who really cares? I'm like, wow. I mean, that's an industry that the lobbying got it. They only did a small blurb or smidget of it, but no one talks about it. I see him chucking orange juice, OJ down like no tomorrow.
You sound like your wife there for a second. But the juice part with kids, most people don't realize that a lot of people give juice to young kids and they start having teeth issues and because it's so sugary and there's so many other things. So you're right. But and everybody should take care of themselves, but a lot of us, we don't think about it because we've had health forever. Until we have a health care, do we have to make major changes in our life? And I understand where you're coming from, where you're saying, what's your health worth? Well, for most people, it's not worth, $2 or whatever. I don't know what it costs, but I'm just saying it's not worth that. But a Starbucks is.
Yeah, it is.
So, but once they get that scare, then they change everything they do to get that back. But sometimes once you lose your health, you can't get it back. So take care of yourself.
No, definitely. And, calorie watching and counting is not healthy.
It's not fun either.
So, think of it. So the same apple you got today, and we already know about the pyramid, the health pyramid. So there's no way that same apple contains the same amount of nutrients it did 30, 40, 50 years ago. There's no way, because the soil isn't turned anymore. Everything is like super produced, and if there's an issue in a different country, then they manufacture it another way. But these are just my take and vantage point of how I'm looking at things. But I just know you're not getting the same amount of nutrients that our ancestors got in the same foods.
All right. So Sherman, before we go today, anything else you want to add?
Like you said, what is your health really worth? I put my life, and everything into this plug I'm gonna put in this plug today to actually support your ability to have a healthier lifestyle with not having any health issues. And mind you, anything you can do to help in regards to getting the word out, and it starts with you, because I don't have the dollars to market this like Coke and Pepsi. But I know one thing I have, I serve my country like they haven't. And I believe in what we all have today, and we need to have a healthier life to enjoy this life in America. But it starts with actually putting healthier options in your body, and why not it be Body Aqua? So that's about it. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you being on today. We really appreciate it. Amy, anything you want to add before we go?
Well, just thank you for your time today, and also thank you for your service, sir.
Oh, my pleasure.
And don't run away. All right. And if you like what we do here, like we always say, just follow, click that subscribe button. And again, thank you both for being here today, and make it a great day.